But back in 2005, those long-distance calls were killer.
What is it with you today? What is happening?
Just in case you didn't know, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Brian.
And this is Road Trip Recap. Spoilers up ahead, as today we talk about the Scarecrow episode of Supernatural.
And we will also be looking at Supernatural's first god, the Vanir.
All right, buckle up and let's go. Our episode opens up in Burkittsville, Indiana 1 year ago, where we have a couple, Vince and Holly, that are stranded in a friendly little town, it seems. You know, they found out that their car was having issues, volunteered to help fix it. They gave them a nice meal, you know, gave them directions to get back on the road, sent them on their way. So,
not a bad place to have car trouble.
It would seem.
You'd think.
One thing to note as they're leaving, it is noted by the younger gal at the diner that you know, Vince has a cool tattoo, so that'll come into play later.
Like tribal number.
Yeah, something like that. As they leave town, their car breaks down right outside this orchard, and it's referenced a number of times that it's an apple orchard, but the internet has informed me that this is actually a hazelnut tree orchard and not apples. So fooled me once.
I mean, I'm not an arborist. I would not know.
Another thing to note is Holly is played by Laura Gilchrist, who we see come back in season 5 as she plays the Wraith in that episode.
Maybe she comes back as a Wraith.
You know, it could be. We'll have to see if that's a possibility.
We'll see if that's canon.
when we study what Wraiths are and how they come about. As they walk through the orchard, they happen upon a scarecrow, and you know, Vince is trying to keep it light, so he just, if I only had a brain, which you probably shouldn't insult scarecrows that are murderous, but you know, how is he supposed to know?
And you know, ever since Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark when I was a kid, I've just assumed that all scarecrows are murderous. Thank you, Harold.
You know, that's fair, and that was, if you saw the movie, that was one of the creepier deaths.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Anyways, they start getting chased by the scarecrow, so they're running away, and Vince disappears. Well, Vince has a face-off with the scarecrow.
I don't like that.
And then the scarecrow gets to Holly also, and then that's our opening. Now we cut to Sam and Dean, so we're picking up where we left off in our last episode with Dad calling, Sam answering, and you know, Dad's just kind of like letting them know that he's on to what he believes is what killed their mom, but he doesn't want them to look for it. Like, he wants them to head over to Burkittsville, Indiana, and check out these disappearances that have happened regularly. And it gets to be a little bit of a disagreement between Sam and Dean. Like, Dean wants to do what Dad said, because that's kind of how he's always done things, is, you know, he's been, as Sam likes to refer to him, the good little soldier. And Sam wants his revenge, and he wants to find Dad and help out and, you know, all this stuff. So they get into a bit of an argument, and they end up splitting ways for the time being. In our next scene, Dean goes rolling into town to start doing some research, and he happens upon Scotty. And first of all, Scotty was played by Brent State, who we see come back later in season 6 as a truck driver who is the first person to get infected with the con worm.
Oh.
Yeah. Dean starts in, you know, doing his alias thing as he introduces himself as John Bonham, I believe. And Scotty right away just like, isn't that the drummer from Led Zeppelin? Oh, wow, good. Classic rock fan.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dean starts, you know, asking some questions about Vince and Holly, trying to see if anybody's seen them, and well, Scotty doesn't know about Vince and Holly, the couple that went missing a year ago. He will not talk to Dean and wishes he would go, but Dean doesn't leave and Scotty doesn't know. Or maybe Scotty does know. Well, Scotty does know, but he's being shifty about it.
I don't even know.
From here, we cut over to see what Sam's doing as Sam runs into Meg. Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
So, it's just some random girl that he happens upon while he's hitchhiking. She's also hitchhiking. Strikes up conversation, but he's kind of like creeping her out as he just, you know, kind of scared her as he appeared behind her. A van pulls up, like, hey, you need a ride? You're like, oh yeah, no, not you, just her. Which, rude. You see two people on the side of the road and it was like, I'll give half of you a ride.
Yeah.
Like, as a driver, wouldn't you assume that they were hitchhiking together? Like, but anyways, works out for the van driver because she's just like, yeah, I'll jump in with you. Sam's like, you're gonna trust shady van guy over me? She's like, definitely. So that's where we're at here.
Little flirtatious, little back and forth.
Something like that. We cut back to Dean as he's still asking around, and this time he's talking to the Jorgensen family. Here we have the uncle, like the fatherly figure, whatever. Harley Jorgensen is played by Tom Butler, who we see come back later as Reverend Jim Myers in the same episode from last time we had Joba. So he's the Reverend Werewolf.
Oh.
In that episode in season 9.
Like a revolving door of actors.
Yeah. Just wait until next episode. From here, they're still like, oh no, we've never seen that couple. And then Emily, the niece, we find out later, so the younger gal, was just like, no, we saw that couple last year. Remember the guy had that cool tattoo? And so then you kind of get some answers, and they're like, oh yeah, they went that way. So Dean starts going that way, and apparently just leaves his EMF meter on all the time, because he's just driving along and it starts going off in the back seat. So he's like, well, stop and check this out. He happens upon the Scarecrow, and he notices that the Scarecrow has a cool tattoo, and also references that, in his opinion, the Scarecrow is fugly. Which during this time, if you look, the Scarecrow's breathing, and you can see him breathing as Dean's talking to him.
Creepy.
Yeah. Dean returns to town to try to find some more answers, because that's probably the last place they were, maybe a connection. And he talks to Emily, gets a little bit more details, and then sees that there's another couple in town. So more chances for trouble on the horizon.
Dun, dun.
From here we cut back to Sam, who is trying to get a bus because he's heading to California, and he runs into Meg again. She lets him know that he was right. Shady van guy was all handsy, and so she ditched him. And
I mean, you'd think that somebody that would be like, I want the girl, not the guy, would probably might be a little bit more on the handsy side in this context.
Yeah, well, confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed.
We cut back to Dean as he's trying to connect with the couple and help them out to not die.
Yep.
But instead he comes off as kind of creepy, and they're just like, hey, why don't you maybe don't?
Yep.
He's like, ah, man, my brother's so much better at this than I am.
Sam is better at the whole puppy dog routine.
Yeah. Which he even tells them, and not a solid plan.
No.
Because they're separated, we get the back and forth. So we jump back over to Sam as he's starting to connect with Meg. So they have some commonalities, and they get a little bit of a bond during this time.
A little bit of tension in the scene.
Yeah. Well, we cut back to the couple as they are leaving the nice, friendly town, and their car breaks down.
No.
They get attacked by the Scarecrow, but Dean Batman's in again.
Yep.
And saves the couple and gets them out of there.
At least this Batman makes more sense. He could have been like, all right, I'm watching this orchard like a hawk, and when they have issues, we're in.
Sometimes.
There's
other times
well, I mean, this one makes sense.
Oh,
but there's
okay,
other times where it's like
this Dean Batman.
Yeah, this Dean Batman
Not
is like
this incarnation of Batman.
No.
Gotcha.
Besides, he plays Red Hood.
Yes.
Yes.
But yes, this one, I get him showing up at this point.
Yeah.
We'll see a little bit of a passing of the torch here a little bit later. That doesn't make as much sense, but I digress. We get, Dean calls Sam, talking to him, just kind of letting him know what he's dealing with, and he doesn't need Sam's help. He's got this.
Yeah.
He's a strong, independent woman.
I don't need no Sam.
Yeah. So Sam and Dean are back on good terms, and Dean's going to head over to a college to talk to a professor about, what it is that he may be dealing with. He goes over, talks to the professor, and that's where he learns that he's dealing with a Vanaheim, and the sheriff's not happy about that.
Nope.
Sheriff shows up, knocks him out. Turns out everybody's in on it.
Yep. The whole town.
The whole dang town. Anyways, the sheriff's not happy, and so he knocks out Dean, and then turns out Dean and Emily are going to be offered up as a sacrifice because they kind of both helped the couple get away, I guess, and Emily's not fully a part of the village, so away with her, I guess. We cut back to Sam, and he can't get a hold of Dean, and it's making him nervous because that's unusual, and so he decides he's not going to California. He's got to help. He's got to do something. Meg continues on her own,
doing her thing.
Now we cut to Dean and Emily. They're tied up in the orchard, waiting to be served up to the Scarecrow, and Emily's concerned, but Dean has a plan. But he doesn't have a plan. But he's working on it. And before he has a chance to execute his plan that he's been working hard on, Sam Batman's in and saves the day.
Yep.
Which this one, I guess, again, could still work. I don't know how far away the bus was. I mean, I guess he hitchhiked there, so it's not too far. But Sam stole a car. He helps get them out. And then Dean's like, watch out for that Scarecrow. And Sam's like, what Scarecrow? Because it's gone.
Because it's not there no more.
So they're trying to get away, but the townspeople won't let them leave. And they're like, we have to have the sacrifice. I'm sorry. Like, we love you. To Emily, not to Dean.
Yeah.
But it's just what we got to do. But Scarecrow's like, I don't care who you offer up. I'm taking two. So, first of all, technically, Dean and Emily, not a couple. You know who is a couple? Harley and Stacy.
That's a good point.
So the Scarecrow takes them instead. Then we cut to the next day. They come back to the orchard. The plan for stopping this pagan god or whatever is to burn the first tree. And so Emily wants to do it. And they're like, the whole village is going to die. Good. Sets it on fire. They get her onto a bus, get her taken care of, and then they reconnect, and, they have their special moment. And so they're back together. Things are good there. We then cut to see what Meg's up to. And Meg is back to hitchhiking. So she's with another handsy van guy, I guess.
Yeah.
She asks him to pull over, which he's like, oh, all right.
So
but
definitely handsy.
Yeah. Turns out she just has to make a call. But I don't know if you remember or not, but back in 2005, those long-distance calls were killer.
What is it with you today? What is happening?
Glad to be back. Also, I mean, just for timeline-wise, we just started putting out our episodes.
Yeah.
They have actually gone live. So this is how far ahead we filmed. And I believe last I checked, we have 8 subscribers.
Winning.
Yes.
That's how you start it.
Yep. So she slices the guy's throat, fills up a cup with blood, and then makes a call to Father to talk about, what's going on. So shifty things are going on there, and then that's the end of our episode. So what, is the first tree a thing? What's going on?
So one of the things that we want to kind of look at is the Vanir in the context of Norse mythology, is because that's where this is being drawn from. So there is the world tree in Norse mythology. The world tree is essentially the universe as a whole. It is holding the 9 realms. The world tree is called Yggdrasil. So Yggdrasil holds the 9 realms. There is Asgard, which is home of the Aesir, which is going to be like their main deities. Thor, Odin, Heimdall.
Heard of some of them.
Yeah. If you've watched any Marvel, like any of Thor's Marvel movies, most of them are going to be taking place in Asgard. That's the realm of the gods. Then you're also, amongst those different realms, there's Midgard. That's the realm of men, also known as Midgard. There is Nidavellir, which is a realm of darkness. Niflheim, which is a realm of snow and mist. Muspelheim, which is the realm of the fire giants, including the fire giant Suttr. Suttr, in the context of our story,
Heard of him.
is going to actually apply and make sense.
Okay.
There's Alfheim, which is the realm of the light elves. Jotunheim, which is the realm of the giants. Hell, which is the realm of the dead.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and those who don't go to Valhalla at death. And then finally, there is Vanaheim. And Vanaheim is the home of the Vanir. The Vanir are another type of god that end up integrating in with the Aesir in Asgard, but they don't. So only some of them live there, and some Asgardians actually live in Vanaheim. Now, the three major players that are Vanir are Freyr, Freya, and Njord. Freyr is a god of fertility and peace. Freya is a goddess of fertility, and Njord is a god of seas and storms.
So are we dealing with this first one?
Not necessarily. There are several other Vanir that are not completely named, as there was a giant war that actually happened in the beginning between the Aesir and the Vanir. And so it implies that there are several more Vanir that actually don't have any kind of a name whatsoever to it. But generally speaking, Vanir are dealing as nature gods. So they deal more with nature, fertility, more of the primal instincts that men actually have. So, how does this apply to supernatural?
Yes, how does it?
So, as we look at the myth of Yggdrasil, the Vanir, Surtur, things like that, there's this big thing called Ragnarok that's going to happen, which is basically Viking end of the world, Viking Armageddon, where in this context, Freyr, who is one of the main Vanir, will end up facing off against Surtur, the fire giant. They will fight. Freyr will die, and Surtur will then consume the entire world tree in flame, destroying everything, and essentially restarting the world, as there's some that were able to hide away in Yggdrasil's roots and stay safe. But
that was the spaceship.
It was the spaceship. So if we look in the context of supernatural, we have a Vanir, or at least what they're claiming to be a Vanir, which is actually going to be Supernatural's very first god. This is the first time we're dealing with a god in the context of Supernatural, technically.
But not the last.
But not the last. Vanir can obviously die, as Surtur is going to kill Freyr in Ragnarok, and all of the Vanir are going to die in Ragnarok, and even the Aesir and the Vanir fought each other in a big war that would infer that, they can die. Now, can they die by mortal means? The best thing we have is what Supernatural is giving us, which is basically burning the first tree. They decided what they did is they kind of connected Norse mythology and their own mythology together in the burning of the first tree, or the burning of the world tree is going to be the thing that destroys the Vanir in this context.
Okay.
So, would that work in Norse mythology? I don't know. It basically is a fire giant with a mythical sword that's large enough to destroy the entirety of the world in order to kill one Vanir. In Supernatural universe, you just got to burn that first world tree down, that first tree, and maybe it severs the connection to Midgard. Maybe there's a bunch of different ways that it can be looked at. But in the context of Supernatural, it's an absolute win. It's a great way to blend the mythology of the Vanir, Norse mythology, into something that can be tackled by day-to-day humans. And we're going to see them do that more frequently as they start introducing more and more gods. So yes, that answers that burning question. I tried for a pun. You're better at it than I am. Yeah. So what episode are we looking up next?
Next we're dealing with the Faith episode, where Dean goes to a faith healer, but it's actually dealing with Reapers. Or we could talk about what they deal with at the beginning of the episode, where they deal with the Rawhead.
Oh, questions. So many questions.
All I'm saying, Reapers come back.
The Reapers do come back.
They don't spend any time with the Rawhead.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you want to at least touch on that.
I mean, we can look up what a Rawhead is. So tune in next time for the Faith Healer and the Rawhead.
All right, so until then, buckle up, and
we got work to do.